Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 found footage horror film Infrared, a film that is co-directed by Robert Livings and Randy Nundlall Jr. And the film stars Jesse Jansen, Leah Finity and Greg Sestero. Now the film focuses on a character called Wes, who is trying to get his own show up and running called Infrared. It's like a supernatural type show where he goes and does clearances and exorcisms, all this kind of stuff. And he has got access to an abandoned school that was closed down a few years previously because of some deaths that occurred there. So he's managed to get access to this school. He has also got a documentary film crew to kind of follow him, like a film crew to follow him. And this film crew also want involved his estranged sister. They had a bit of a falling out a couple of years previously. Izzy, she's called, and she's sensitive. She's like a medium, and this production crew want her on board as well. So they get her on board. There's a fraught relationship between her and her brother, but they managed to get in this school and start filming. Now, with this being a found footage film, guess what? Things don't go as planned once they get into this school, and there is an evil presence there that they have got to try and escape from. Right. What are my thoughts on Infrared? Well, again, I say this every time I tend to review a found footage film. I always tend to say this, but just in case you don't know me and you don't know the channel, I do like found footage films. I think they can be really, really effective when done properly. And I do watch a lot of them. Where does this one stand? Well, this is a low budget found footage film, but to be fair, the vast majority of found footage films are low budget. They're made for low budget. There's not many like the Cloverfields out there, and that are made on like shoestring budgets and do massively well at the box office. Of course, there's examples of that, but for the most part, the majority of found footage films that I tend to see these days are very, very low budget affairs, and this one's no exception. Now, saying that, I think found footages need certain things for them to work. You need to be able to believe that these people are real people, that they're not actors playing a part, that they're actually real people taking, in front of these cameras. And I do think this film, for the most part, gets that right. I do think there's one character in the film, and I won't spoil it, who's almost like a human antagonist, really, that I thought was a little bit over the top and a little bit pantomime and a little bit unbelievable. Everybody else I thought was fairly reasonable and grounded, and I believed their performances, give or take here and there. I felt reasonably immersed for the most part while I was on this journey with these characters. Another thing I think found footage films need to do effectively is tick a few boxes. Why are they filming? Okay, makes sense that they're filming here because he's filming his new show, sort of thing. So there is definitely a reason why the cameras would need to keep rolling. And even more so in the conclusion to the film as to why the cameras keep rolling. Sometimes a good argument, I think, that people have against found footage is, when it all kicks off in the last 20 minutes, half an hour, most rational people would dump the cameras and run a mile. Well, in this film, and while not giving anything away, really, they can't do that in this film. So the reason why everything is being filmed and continues to be filmed does kind of make sense here. What doesn't really make sense is, while this is found footage, it explains at the beginning and the end of the film that this footage has been found in the basement of this, that and the other, whatever, in the school. Whereas that doesn't make sense when you actually watch the film, because that footage wouldn't have been found because there is an explanation as to it would have been in someone's best interests to remove that footage. Who found that footage? Who released that footage? Because it would be incriminating to a certain individual. So that kind of falls a little bit flat in regards to its argument, really, in regards to found footage. But, you can't get it all right, I suppose. It's low budget, and it follows a very similar pattern, this film. Arguably my favourite found footage film of all time, it's certainly right up there, is Grave Encounters. I just thought that was a really, really effective and fabulous film. for a found footage film, and this follows that pattern almost to the letter. Really, I mean, it feels like almost they're trying to remake Grave Encounters, except it's not in a hospital; it's in a school. It's just not as good as Grave Encounters. For me, the major problem I had with this film, its lack of scares and its lack of building an atmosphere. It doesn't do a good job of building an atmosphere in this film. You know, this sense of dread that something's going to happen. You don't really get that for big chunks of this film. The setup, I think, goes on for too long at the beginning, and then when they get into this building, I don't think it does a particularly good job of setting the scene and setting that sense of dread, or even giving us an odd scare here and there. And then you get a chaotic last 20 minutes, as you do in most found footage films. So lots of build up for the characters and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I get a sense of who they are, but I didn't get a sense of real fear and dread watching this one either. So it's a bit hit and miss, this one. There's things about it that works, and there's things about it that don't work as a found footage film. So yeah, as a score, I'm going to be fairly generous and give this one a 5 out of 10. It probably deserves a little bit less, but while it's quite old-fashioned in its approach, it's like a found footage film that probably would have been made 10 years ago, maybe longer. You know, it doesn't offer any real surprises. It doesn't offer any originality. It kind of, you know, it ticks a lot of found footage boxes. It's not really bad in regards to a found footage film, but like I say, it could have been so much better. I do find myself saying that a lot with found footage films, certainly these days. So a 5 out of 10, I think, is a fairly reasonable score for this one. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it, what you think about it. And of course, I'll be back with loads more content on the channel very, very soon.